Well, the Big D is back with Open Championship Preview number 2. Before I bring in the hottest golf bettor I know, please subscribe, like, and share the Spunky Spectrum Sports YouTube page. We're bringing out the lumber, driver, 3-wood, driving iron, wedge, iron, putter. Also, check out the Big D podcast for audio listeners on Spotify and Apple. So, back as he was for the Open last year, I think if I told everybody how many different websites you write for, FantasyLabs, ActionNetwork, I think there's a new one now, right?
Yeah, GolfWRX. I've always written for them, but it used to be just like golf news and stuff like that, and stories and editorials. But now I'm doing betting stuff over there too.
Matt Vincenzi. So Matt, sorry about your Patriots not getting DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, I'm a little upset about that, but yeah, I've had enough success to last a lifetime, so I'm okay with it.
Well, it is Open Championship weekend, boss. So we're going to Royal Liverpool this weekend. So when you think of open courses, what are your favorites?
It's a good question. I liked this course in 06, like just visually. I like it when it's dried out more so than it was in 14 and even this year. I saw Michael Kim today posted 3 pictures from 06, 14, and today, and it's way greener than it was ever before. So I liked Real Troon a lot. I know it was easy, which I don't love, but I just like the visuals of that course. What else? I liked Birkdale. I thought that was a pretty good one. How about you? What's your favorite?
I mean, I don't know if Port Roach was necessarily a difficult course, but the atmosphere there was crazy. I mean, Cornucci's probably the one venue where Lord knows what could happen in terms of wind, weather, you name it. You name it. I mean, St. Andrews is the home of golf, but in the end, we know what's going to happen. The wind doesn't blow. It's going to be a race to 18 under.
Yeah, I like Murfield. I like Turnberry. I wish they'd go back to Turnberry, but I know politics are involved.
So obviously there have been some changes to Royal Liverpool from the last time it hosted the Open in 2014. I believe 73 yards added. The Paul 5 10th, sorry Roy, has now become the Paul 4 10th, so it's now a Paul 71. And the Paul 3 and the 17th hole is now a Paul 3, which is going to play somewhere in the neighborhood of 140 yards. I've seen the hole in. You don't want to miss the green there, because if you do, your next shot might be in the ocean.
Yeah. I've talked to a couple players this week actually who gave me some thoughts on the course, and 17. I think the consensus from most of them is that it isn't a fair hole because it's just the way it slopes down to the bunker on the right side on 17. So if you miss the green right, you're not only going to be in the bunker, but you're going to be in the face of the bunker. So one player said to me today that if you hit it in the right bunker on 17, your new par is 5.
Wow. By the way, in Europe, the bunkers are hazard. Don't hit the ball in the bunker, because everyone said if you hit in the bunker, you're basically hacking out.
And that's the way it should. And that's the way it should be. I mean, it makes it exciting when the bunkers are penal. These guys are so good at the bunker now that most weeks, if they hit it in the bunker, it's easier than hitting it in the rough.
Remember Fitz at the U.S. Open last year, hit his tee shot in the bunker at 18, and then pulled off the shot of the year.
That shot was unbelievable. That shot was great.
But I think that 17th hole, we've seen short par 3s play a role at majors. I mean, the U.S. Open had a par 3 that was ridiculously short.
Yeah, but that was all the balls were filtering down to the hole on that one. I mean, that was probably my we talked before the U.S. Open, not after, but that was probably my least favorite U.S. Open venue of all time.
Yeah. I think I'd rather have the par 3 just up the road from you at where Fitz won the Open, where it's actually it's actually a legitimate hole. It's not just like a 75, 80-yard shot. You hit a 3/4 wedge in there.
Yeah, the country club. And I think this one on 17 is going to be really good. If you see a bunch of players complaining about it, you know it's going to be a good hole.
Well, I mean, everybody was complaining about the U.S. Open, so they've all got to complain about something, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
With every Open Championship, the big question is always the weather, and I mean, I'm not exactly sure how the weather's going to be. I don't, already looks wet to me, so I think it's not a particularly long major course. We've seen PGAs and U.S. Opens long, so I don't think length will be an issue depending on whether the course dries out or softens. But I think the wind's going to play the big role because with potential a couple guys, particularly a Colin Morikawa, if the wind gets up 15, 20 miles an hour, I don't think he likes playing in the wind, even though he's a Cali guy.
I don't think so, and that's why at St. George's there was like no wind at all, and that was probably the worst Open Championship ever. I
Yeah, and
hate it.
everyone said that was good. That there would be all kinds of wind, there'd be all kinds of rain, and it ended up being benign conditions.
Yeah, it was like playing in a dome. And this week, I don't think at Hoylake you can avoid wind at all. Like wind's always going to be a factor, and I think that's if it wasn't for wind, then obviously the course would play really easy, and it can still play easy. But I think wind is definitely the big factor. Thursday, Friday doesn't look too bad, and like you said, it is going to be wet and soft. So Friday is going to be the driest of the days, where the sun's going to be up for a lot of the day. But I don't know if that's going to be enough to make it play firm. Saturday, the winds look like they're going to be picking up. Saturday right now looks like the most difficult day, but we know how quickly that can change. The players have said that the back nine, the wind's in your face for most of it. So a lot of those holes will play pretty tough. I think 17, like into the wind that we saw last week at the Scottish Open. Rory hit a 2-iron, and like 165-yard shot. So that we could see that play really tough on 17. 18, you get so 18, there was the most double bogeys of any par 5 in major championship history, the 18th hole in 2014. So this year, they moved the OB 20 yards closer to the fairway, and they lengthened the hole by 30 yards. So that hole is probably going to be interesting.
I wonder what the strategy for that 18th hole would be, knowing there's OB. I mean, if you got a 3-shot lead in there, I think hey
I
Matt,
have the answer. I have the answer to that actually because I asked a player today, what's the strategy on 18 with that OB so close right? They said they're going to blast it as far as they can left. Their bunkers over to the left, but it gives you a better angle in, and you can even go left of the bunkers. So to avoid the right at all costs, hit it as far left as you can. If you hit it in the fairway bunker, so be it. But if you hit it in the right, you're bringing 7, 8 into play.
yeah, I was thinking maybe if you got a 3-shot lead, take out the old drive iron and go left,
Yep.
up center. Because if you go right, you're dead.
Aim at the bunkers, and if it cuts, then you're okay on the left side of the fairway. If it doesn't, maybe you miss the bunkers to the left. And worst case scenario, you're in a bunker, but that's better than being right.
Yeah. So obviously, there seem to be golfers who fit Open champion championship. Seems like seems like guys from Australia play well in the wind. I mean, we're going to talk about one guy who you love love a little while, but seem the guys from Australia do well at the Open. Seen guys from Texas succeed. I mean, yeah, Englishmen have a on and off history with the Open, which is surprising because every time I see an Englishman succeed in Florida, you would think they do well at the Open because Florida courses, particularly the Honda, Bay Hill, or Valspar, have a lot of wind. But does it help maybe if somebody is more used to playing in the wind?
I would say absolutely it does. I think the Australians that makes a lot of sense, and plus the bunker play I think is really important in Open, so that the Australians usually good out of the bunker. But wind experience is definitely helpful. Those Florida courses, I mean, like you said, Englishmen, but look at guys who have played the Open well and those Florida courses as well. Like Shane Lowry has won the Honda Classic and he's won an Open. Tommy Fleetwood plays both extremely well. English guy. I think Westy has played some of those Florida courses, right? API pretty well, and he's obviously a good Open player. So I do think there's a crossover, even if it doesn't necessarily translate to winners.
Yeah, and even trying to think. I even although Fitz said he's not game for an Open Championship, which surprised me because he's in England. He's an Englishman. Maybe I don't know the pressure of his home major, but
yeah, I thought that was weird too. I looked into it. He hasn't been bad at Opens. He just hasn't been good either. Like he has a lot of finishes between 20th and 30th in his 6 starts there. So he's been decent, but he just hasn't been able to play really, really well. And if you look at it, I think it kind of makes some sense. Like he's played classical courses the best over the course of his career. Those like long parkland classical courses, like you saw it in Brookline. And I think because he's just kind of so straight off the tee to green. He's kind of like a technician. He doesn't really have the creative game that you'd see with a guy like like a Cam Smith or some of these other Jordan Spieth. He's good Open players.
I mean, it's tough when you have course correlation coming from the U.S. or elsewhere in the world to Royal Liverpool, but could there be some course correlation? Maybe not from like one course, but I've seen this week where guys who played well at Pebble Beach could potentially do well in Royal Liverpool. You think of a Jordan Spieth always plays Pebble Beach, or we're going to talk about him a little, but Victor Hovland plays Pebble, plays well in the win, or some of these guys who play Pebble, or even a Players Championship with your guy we're going to mention next. Is there some course correlation, even though it's a different style course from Pebble or Sawgrass to Royal Liverpool?
I think Sawgrass is the one that's really tough to ignore for most of them. I mean, Sergio has won at Sawgrass and he finished second here to Rory in 2014. You had Adam Scott, who was in the top 5 in 2014, and I think he finished 8th in 2006. Ricky, who's one of the players and also has a runner-up finish with Sergio in 2014. So the leaderboard correlation for that one, I think, is the most glaring, and it makes sense. There's a lot of not necessarily water, but there are OB and hazards in play, and then you got to deal with the wind, little short 17th par 3. So I think there's a lot of similarities.
Yeah, and thinking back to 2022, well, I'm just thinking, who won last year? Not 2023 players, but who won the 2022 players, and then what capped it off by becoming champion golfer of the year?
Cam.
And just thinking that one of us bet him, and it wasn't me. It was not me. You bet him. Thinking back to that day when Cam Smith won the Open, where does that rank among golf memories in your book?
Me is number 1. It's my favorite alt-right winner I've ever hit. It's my favorite tournament that I've ever seen. It's right behind my head here. You can see the picture for a couple reasons. One, I like to give Rory a hard time. I'm not the biggest Rory fan. I respect everything he's accomplished, but to see him kind of blow it, and only because the whole golf world was so sad about it, and then to see Cam be the one to take it. And I think on the show, what I said was, I think Cam's going to win. Everything points to him. My only question is, will the golfing gods allow the man with the mullet to hoist the claret jug at the end of the day? And they did. And just how he came back, birdied 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, all in a row. And then the up and down on 17, that the picture that I had at the road hole, I just thought that was just absolutely incredible. Who would have ever thought you could two-putt from behind a bunker to win an Open championship?
I mean, shot of the year, that might be a shot of a lifetime what Cam did, because I'm thinking, how's he going to get the ball around the road hole bunker? Because if he ends up in the road hole bunker, it's game over.
I mean, if you look at best up and downs in history, I think that has to be number 1. There's a couple other can you think of any other up and downs that might rival that one? I mean,
I can think of heroic shots in majors. I mean, Sergio's shot from from Alpha Tree and the Medina 99, but I can't think of many crazy up and downs like that.
I got one. How about Ian Woosnam to beat Greg Norman at the Masters? Well, that went in. It didn't go up and down, but I mean,
Okay, I've got one. Okay, how about Larry Mize at the Masters?
yeah, that's a good one too. Yeah. Was that Larry? Yeah, Larry Mize. That was in a playoff. Right? Yeah, it was a playoff. That's right.
So,
That was Larry Mize who beat him. Yeah, it wasn't Woosnam. Good call.
I mean, can Cam Smith repeat? Because it's been 15 years since somebody's repeated, and it ain't, and it's not Tiger. Potty Harrington repeated '07 or '08 as Open champ. So
Yeah.
can Cam Smith repeat? Because I mean, he's looking good. He won Live London a couple weeks ago. Seemingly, Cam Smith always plays well in the UK, except when he missed the cut of the Scottish Open. But that's a story for another day.
Yeah, but then he made it. He made it the next year, and that was part of the reason why we liked him and why I liked him was because he didn't like that Renaissance Club. Then the following year, he has a nice low round on Sunday to finish in the top 10, and that was a big reason that gave him the confidence to bet him the next week. And you know what's funny that you said the Patty Harrington back-to-back wins. The 2 years before that, you had Tiger back-to-back as well. So 05, 06, 07, then 08.
05,
Yeah.
06, St. Andrews and Royal Liverpool, and then Potty won in '07 when I think Sergio missed like a 7 or 8 foot pole putt.
Yes, that's right. He was agonizingly close, and I'm upset he's not coming here. I know there's not many Sergio fans in the world. I'm one of the 5 Sergio fans on Earth. But I thought he would be a nice little sneaky play this week here, but I'll have to get some other sleepers instead.
Do you think there'll be? I mean, we've seen wave edges. I mean, obviously the guys Xander and Ricky shot 62 at the U.S. Open. But do you think they'll be in wave edge, or with these crazy tee times where guys could be going out 10 hours later? Will wave edge quite matter quite as much here compared to where you've got PM AM or vice versa at a U.S. Open or PGA?
It's weird because in the Open, it's always the one where it seems like unavoidable that there's a wave advantage. But this year, right now, it doesn't look like there's going to be one, and it doesn't mean that there won't be one, but it means that there's nothing in the weather that pinpoints that actually happening. It still could happen, but right now it looks pretty steady throughout. Like the wind is going to be, 12 to 14 all day, afternoon and morning. And it looks like the gusts are going to be up 18, 20 miles per hour all day long on Thursday. So, and Friday. So I think Thursday, Friday, there might be a big wave advantage on Saturday, but that's not really going to matter as much. So I think, Thursday, Friday is looking pretty steady throughout.
Yeah, Saturday may matter more for showdown because if you could get a guy blissing the course before the winds kick up, things could get hairy because Lord knows what the wind could do at the Open.
Yeah, it was like with Tommy at the U.S. Open Sunday, goes out early and shoots a 63 or whatever it was.
Again.
He might do that again this week too.
Why can't he do that the first 3 rounds and end up P2 and end up P2 P1 maybe instead of P2 like he did in Canada or almost in contention last week?
Yeah, I mean, last week he started off slow. I bet him at 130 to 1 in the middle of round 1, and I thought he's going to come back and do it. I loved his spot on Sunday, but he just doesn't have that killer instinct.
Did you bet Bobby Mack last week?
I did not. No, I did not.
I bet. Well, thinking of the DK pricing and first time I can remember, I don't know if you remember a 12K golf in a major, but Scotty Scheffler 12.5, Roy is 11.9, Rahm 11.2, Cam 10.7, Brooks 10.4, Xander 10.1, and Hovland 10K. How do you? By the way, they're all golfers now down in the $5,500 range, so it feels like one of those NFL slates. But how do you think Scheffler being 12.5 changes the DK DFS formula?
It makes it harder. There's no doubt about that. And I'm actually happy about that. This pricing is usually so soft in majors, you can kind of do whatever you want. And now you really can't. It makes it very difficult to do whatever you want. If you want to play Scotty, sure, you got to pay the price, and yeah, it goes down to 5,500, but you're rolling the dice if you're playing any of those guys down in that range. The Open, you do get 70 guys making it through the cut, and not 60 or 65, so that helps a little bit. But yeah, you want to play Scotty. He's guaranteed top 5 for the last 3 months, so you want to do that. You got to pay a price to do it.
Yeah, I mean, what would be the last guy you feel comfortable playing in like the 6K range? Because anybody could play Scheffler, anybody could play Roy, anybody could play Rahm, anybody could play Cam. But who would be the last guy you would feel comfortable playing, thinking he's not going to screw up?
Yeah,
Because
I mean,
if you're a 6K guy playing a high 5, low 6K guy, all you're hoping for is he makes the cut.
you know what? The most successful people in life and DFS feel comfortable when they're uncomfortable. So, am I going to be comfortable playing any of these guys? No, but am I going to do it anyway? Yes, I am, because that's just the way I live my life and the way I play DFS. So, looking at the very bottom, I mean, I don't see why you can't play Alex Fitzpatrick at 5,500. He holds out from the bunker to qualify. He's played in some Challenge Tour and some DP World Tour events. Really good prospect. Top 70 make it. He should be relatively comfortable on this course, and I think he's playing really well at the moment. So 5,500. I mean, I can see him finish in the top 35, which is okay. You got a sleeper I like this week a lot, who's going to be less than 1% owned at 5,900, is Keita Nakajima, who holds the record for the most consecutive weeks as the world #1 ranked amateur from Japan. You had a couple Japanese guys in the mix here, both in 2006 and 2014. And Nakajima has been scorching hot lately. He's won an event. He was third at the Players Championship in Japan, and he has 2 runner-up finishes as well, all between May and now. So he's hot right now. So 5,900, you could do worse than him. My guy, Travis Smythe, who finished in the top 3 in Hong Kong to get into this event, played a couple live starts. He's a grinder, Australian, good wind player, good bunker player, can battle through the elements. I like him at 5,800. And then Henrik Stenson, 6,200. I think he has a chance to win the event, which is crazy. There was 1,000 to 1 on Barstool earlier this week. I bet a 500 to 1 on FanDuel, and then top 20 was 10 to 1. So I put a little bit on that as well. 6,200. I think he's motivated. He's playing well. He finished 6th in Live London, 3rd in greens and regs, 2nd in fairways hit, which is exactly what you want to do here. So you know what? I'm going to play all those guys. I'll go down there and play them all.
I mean, how about Richard Bland? How about a name from the past, Richard Bland? I mean, he came off a good finish in Live London a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, you could play Bland too. I mean, a little bit of a concern with him is if this thing really is that deep into the back, in the wind on the back 9, does he have the firepower to keep up? I don't know. He's really old. I mean, Stenson's 47, but I think Bland's like 51 or 52. He's like Phil Mickelson territory of age.
One of my buddies mentioned they mentioned Matthew Southgate.
Yeah, he's a links specialist, right? So he plays really well on links courses. I think last week he played pretty well, but he couldn't make any putts. So I don't think he did as well as he could. But I think the ball striking numbers were good in Scotland. So yeah, he makes some sense.
I mean, even if you go in the 6s, they're all guys. I mean, Cage Lee's 6,300, and we know what kind of streaky guy he could be. Tom Hoagie, I mean, let's see, he won Pebble, so not the worst course correlation. And I mean, yeah, he's not gonna bomb it out there like Bryson and some of these guys, but he'll keep the ball in the fairway.
Yeah, if this course was called TPC Royal Liverpool, I'd play KH Lee. But I don't know. Without that, I'm not sure.
Maybe Sanjay M should change it then.
Yeah, mid-6s, you got Patty Harrington. We just talked about him. I think he's playing really well. He's in the mix in the senior tour a lot. And then you got Thunder Bear Olesen. I like him. He's kind of a big boomer bust player, but he's a guy who could miss the cut by 10, but he could also finish in the top 10. It wouldn't shock anybody. So I don't mind taking a shot on him either.
Right now on Tuesday afternoon, who do you think will be the chalk at the top, and who do you think potentially could be a good GPP pivot at the top?
This one's easy for me, and I have a lot of data and ownership projections right now in front of me, but I'm not
Yeah,
quite.
I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna guess.
Yep,
I'm gonna guess. Scotty Scheffler's ownership's 17%.
yep, yeah, that's exactly what I got. 17, 18.
But I've got to think Roy's got to be 22, 23%.
And this is what I'm not believing. I don't believe what my eyes are telling me, because I think Rory is going to be pushed 25% this week, coming off a win, Open Championship. Everyone's going to want to play him. The casual fans are going to want to play him. I'm seeing 16%. I don't believe it. I don't care what you tell me. I don't believe he's going to be 16. I think he's going to be 23, 24, maybe even higher in single entry stuff. But as of now, yeah, you're right. Scotty 17 is the highest. So ownership is really spread out.
Uh, where would Rom be? 15?
No, 11. And I think him and Cam, I believe, are going to be the pivots here. If you want to pivot off somebody, and I don't think people are going to play Rom, because why play him when you have Rory and Scotty both playing much better at the moment for a little bit more money? And then Cam, I think people don't. I don't think people dislike him, but I think at 10-7, you can just pay up and get one of the big three. I think people are going to just opt to do that.
I'm guessing the 10K range. Xander's always popular in majors. Victor Hovland's going to be popular because you look at him statistically, he fits the scores. He's done a major's coming for Victor. Very well, maybe this one. I mean, who else is in there? Patrick Cantlay. Somebody, please tell him it is a major championship weekend. Show up.
Yeah, I mean, you know what's crazy? I read this earlier from Justin Ray. He said there's two ways of looking at it. Cantlay has, in his last 5 majors, he's never finished worse than 16th in his last 5 majors. But also, ever in his career, he's never gone into a Sunday within 5 shots of the lead.
So it's like, and yet he didn't play well last week. I mean, yeah, I don't know what to expect from Cantlay. I mean, disappointed me last week, but I mean, I don't know what to expect from him.
I like him. I bet him because I got a 30-1, which I thought was pretty big on his talent. And I think
That's mega insane. You could get a 30-1. Mega insane. You get a 30-1 on Patrick Cantlay.
yeah, so I had to take it, and I think so. My starting my card, the two big ones are Hovland, which I bet.
Wait. Save the bets for the end. Save the
Okay,
bet. I've got to think at 6,900, Bobby Robin McIntyre is going to be enormously popular. If he's not the most popular, if he's the most popular guy, I will not be surprised based on how he played last week. And we know everybody remembers what happened when he and Roy came down the 18th at the Scottish Open. We know McIntyre can absolutely bomb it out there.
yeah, he is definitely going to be popular. He's actually 6,800.
Okay, 6,800. I shortchanged him on.
So even worse. He's going to be yeah, he's definitely going to hit double digits. I could see him being 12, 13% at that price. It makes it easy. I'm going to probably fade him and just hope he misses the cut. I don't know. My rule is I don't play 6K chalk. I don't care how good it looks. I just don't do it. So I'm going to probably pass. But yeah, he's definitely going to be popular for a good reason. And then right above him at same price, 6,800, is Jordan Smith, who I think is going to be pushing double-digit ownership too, because he's just really steady.
Yeah, I think I'd rather play if you're gonna fade those guys, why not play Rasmus Hogard actually won the main in Himalayan.
Yep.
I have no idea what that is.
Yeah, it's that's the DP World Tour event.
Yeah.
I don't mind him either, but I mean to switch off from that, I would rather play Louis Oosthuizen, who I think is coming around a little bit. He finished in the top 4 in his last start in London at Centurion. And he's a good Open Championship player. Obviously, he has won one, 2 top 3 finishes since he's won. So I like him a little bit. I think he's a little bit under the radar. So that's and I like Brandon Grace, who no one's going to play. Louis is going to be a little popular. Brandon Grace, nobody's going to play. He's been one of the best players on Live since he joined Live. Some South Africans have done well here. Charles is in the mix. Ernie Els is in the mix at this course. So a couple of South Africans there for you.
You know me, Matt. I'm the trivia savant. Everybody tries to get me with trivia. So, what do you have up your sleeve for me right now?
All right, this one is actually fits well because we hit on this a little bit earlier. And my question is, who was the last Englishman to win an Open Championship in England?
Nick Faldo, 1992.
No, because that was in Scotland.
Wait a minute, but he won in 90. Wait, but 90 was St. Andrews.
90 was St. Andrews. 92 was Murfield, also in Scotland.
Oh. How far back do I have to go?
A little farther back. You want the year?
Tony Jacklin.
That is correct.
1971.
1969, very close.
Ooh, 1969. Oof.
Royal Lytham won at -4 by 2 strokes. Yeah, so he's the last Englishman to win. So we talk about Tommy and Hatton and these guys. It'd be the first time since 1969 if one of them can get it done.
I mean, can Tommy Fleetwood win at home? I mean, he's a Liverpool guy.
Yeah. He can you do? I mean, he's playing well enough. He fits all the trends and guys who have played well this year. He's played well in majors. There's no reason he can't. The question is, does he have the cojones to do it?
And the last 9 Open winners have been first-time Open champs.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
I mean, okay, so we've done trivia, we've done DK. Now I want to hear your bets for the Open because I know your betting card is wonkers this week.
Yeah. All right. So the first guy is Victor Hovland. Right now, I've seen like 22-1, which I think is fine. I would bet that if I had a blank card, but luckily I've been betting it early and often over the course of the last year because I've always liked him here and I've had that on my radar. So I have 33-1 on him, but I do endorse the 22 if you haven't bet it yet. I just think he's my winner. He's my number one pick because the biggest reason for me is just that scar tissue that he's built up from getting in contention in majors recently and not getting it done. He's gotten progressively better. Last year at St. Andrews, he's in the final group, but really had no chance at any point on Sunday. And then the next major he played in was the Masters. Was in the second to last group there, right? So he got a little more experience on that. Then in the PGA, he went toe-to-toe with Brooks. I mean, he played great most of that Sunday. He gets caught in a bunker, but he still manages to shoot a 68. If Brooks isn't Brooks, he wins that major, and I think he played well enough to do it. Looked much more comfortable in contention at the PGA. And then at LACC, he finished in the top 20, even though he said he really didn't like the course at all. So I think he's just becoming a player who's great in majors. Now he's tasted what it feels like to wake up Sunday morning in contention. He's gone through it, gotten better at it, and now I think it's his time to break through.
And won a PGA Tour event in the U.S.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That Memorial win, I think, was huge for him. Just the confidence that he could do it in a major loaded field, elevated event, came from behind. So all those things are just pointing to me that he's the guy who's going to win this week.
And number 2 on your betting cards, a guy we mentioned just a little bit ago, Patrick Cantlay, and did you get him at 27 or did you get him at 30?
So I bet a 30 myself, but the best number that was available when I wrote it was 27 on FanDuel. I think that's still a pretty good number, that 27. He again, I don't necessarily trust him in majors, but I think eventually he's going to break through. He's too talented not to. I think that T8 last year at the Open is a good sign for him. And this course, I mean, he's second in strokes gained off the tee in his last 24 rounds. He's been one of the best players off the tee all year long, and I think that's going to be the most important factor this week. You know, I don't feel as strongly on him as I do about Hovland, but I just think at that price and his talent level, he has a chance to, you know, he's going to surprise everybody and do it one of these days. Maybe it's this one.
I mean, Cantley's now 20-1. So if you got Cantley at 30, you're doing something right.
Yeah, that's right.
And then number 3, DJ.
Number,
I can't believe DJ hasn't won an Open, because seemingly every Open I see him in, he's always in contention, whether you like him or not now.
Always. And 35 on him, I thought was very fair. And, you know, a big part of what goes through my betting card this week was Scotty or Rory or both is going to be there on Sunday. One of the two, if not both, is going to be there. So if I'm betting somebody, I want to know that person, if they're on their game, can beat one of those two guys. And DJ, yeah, is he, you know, does he have his best game all the time now at, you know, almost 40 years old? No, but if he is on his game, I think he can beat those guys, go toe to toe with them. He's not going to be afraid. Great Open Championship history. His last two, 6th, 8th, 9th back in 2016. He played this course really well. He shot the low round of the week here in 2014. He shot a 65, I think it was on Saturday, Friday or Saturday here. So he likes the course. He's seen the course before, and he's starting to round into form. I mean, he gained 11.4 strokes from tee to green at the U.S. Open, which is 5th in the field. So he's starting to put it all together. I think that offseason hurt him earlier in the year, the lack of an offseason. I think he was probably just, you know, not grinding very hard once he joined Liv. But I think he's starting to get into the swing of things now.
And speaking of another Liv golfer, you bet Bryson at the U.S. Open. He looked pretty good for a while. You're doing it again, and what is that? 65-1.
65-1. I just think that's too big of a number considering what he's been doing lately. I mean, he was good and great. He was a factor in the PGA all the way to the end. The U.S. Open, he was the first round leader. It was the PGA was the first round leader, but U.S. Open, he was right up there all throughout the week. Kind of struggled on Sunday a little bit, but he was there. He was part of the story. And then since then, he's been playing really well. I mean, he finished runner up at Valderrama, which is the course that I never really thought he would play that well at. And he's kind of dialing it back to old Bryson, where he's just trying to dial it back and hit it in the fairway more. And you wouldn't think of an Open Championship as a venue for Bryson, but this place I think is a little better for him. Like last year at St. Andrews, I wouldn't think of that as a Bryson course at all. This place more so because it's flat, and we've seen him struggle when, you know, hilly, moundy courses like Augusta. This place flat all across the terrain, I think there's going to be a good course for him.
And if it does play in the wind, we've seen him win API, so he can handle the win.
Yeah, and I mean, if he in that course, you know, we've seen guys coming in with 5 irons. If he has an 8 iron in his hand, you know, it's a lot easier to keep that ball on the green if it does get a little firm.
And then a guy I actually liked a couple weeks ago. I wish I almost bet him, but flew back here on Friday. Adam Scott. Let me guess. Aussies in Open Championships.
You got to have one Aussie on the card, and to me, he's the best one, because not the best one, but he's at his odds makes the most sense. Everything he does in his career right now is geared towards winning a major. He's been very open about that. He hasn't been good at the majors this year, but I think he's starting to play a lot better. This is a course where he was in the mix twice, both times he played here. And yeah, 2014 when he played here, he was the #1 player in the world, so you'd expect him to be in the mix. But I still think that, and you know, he really got screwed on the draw in 2014. First round, he had to play against the elements, and he did a really good job to finish T5 here. All the other guys in the mix had all AM PMs. He was PM AM. So I just think the course suits him really well. He loves the course, and I think being such a strategic golf course, having played it and played well on it in the past, is going to be a big advantage this week. So that's a reason why I like him.
And then one more guy who's got a clear jug on his mantle.
That goes against your trend there of the last 9 being first-time Open winners, but you know, he is perhaps the best round in Open Championship history. That's 63 at Troon. Obviously an easier scoring day, but I just think he's a little bit motivated. I saw a quote from him earlier in the week too. And again, this is 500-1. Do I think he's going to really win? Probably not, but I'd like to see if he's in the mix. I'll be happy with it. But he said he's feeling really good. He thinks his game suits this course, and I think he's still feeling a little bit jaded about that Ryder Cup captaincy being stripped from him.
I feel, he knows what it's like to be in contention, not just winning here, but of winning an Open 2016. But we know what kind of ball striker he is. I mean, if he could have a putt like he did in 2016 when he went nuclear in that Open against Phil, and then followed it up with the silver medal at the Olympics. I mean, guys turn back the time. Ernie Els came back and won an Open in 2012. Phil came back and won an Open, and then a PGA a couple years ago. Maybe all these old guys will just start winning again.
If there's a major an old guy can win, it's the Open.
Although Phil won the PGA.
That was the biggest outlier, crazy thing. Like, I still think that doesn't get talked about enough. That has to be the craziest thing in golf history. Him winning the PGA, the longest ever course too. Played over 8,000 yards. A 50-year-old winning the PGA Championship. I mean, that's got to be the most insane story in golf history.
I did. Unfortunately, Florida doesn't have bets, but when I was in Illinois, I made a couple bets. I got Hovland because you said everything. I mean, Victor Hovland's due. We know what he can do on coastal courses. We know what he's done outside the U.S., seemingly winning everywhere, and his major form. And then last thing I did was make a little bet on Jason Day at 90. I think he's 110. I'm not expecting him to win, but Jason Day, you know about Aussie and Open Championship. I think Day was one shot out of the playoff in 2015.
Yep, that's right.
And yes, Jason Day has not been great since winning the week before the PGA. I don't know if his back's aching him. I'm not expecting everything. But Jason Day is too good of a golfer at 90 or now 110.
I agree with that. My only concern is, did he sell his soul to win the Charles Schwab one, or the whatever he won? Did he sell his soul to win that? Because since then he has been absolutely awful, just red all over the board statistically. But
Byron Nelson.
But I like. Hey, I mean, I don't mind betting him at 100 to 1 at all. I think that's a play that I think, hey, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But if it does, you look like a genius. So.
I mean, I'm not expecting to be there, but I mean, he didn't play last week, which sort of befuddled me. But then again, Jason Day is probably more used to the wind conditions coming from down under, mate. So
yeah, he'll be fine.
If that back's okay.
Yeah, or the vertigo, whatever. Who knows what it is with him?
Oh, true. Okay, so this is the one. You were correct with Cam Smith last year. I need the Open for my major one and done Grand Slam. Who's lifting the Claret Jug on Sunday?
It's going to be Victor Hovland wearing bright pink
or orange, right?
Well, his kit came out today, what he's wearing for the week, so he has a bright pink shirt for Sunday.
And it will look really sweet with a Claret jug.
It absolutely will. I think there's a picture of the jug in the kit too, so he just in case it matches.
I mean, it would. I think Victor Hovland's going to win, and I can't believe we're all agreeing on major one and dones.
That's the way it's gone lately, and it's worked out more often than it hasn't. So I'm okay with that.
Hey, I mean, you were right last year with Big Cam Smith and Victor Hovland winning would not surprise anyone. And then, of course, this is probably going to be the week Scotty Scheffler comes out and just nukes the course, gains 5 strokes per and wins by 8. And I'm like, why the bleep didn't we bet him?
That absolutely is a possibility, and I'm very fearful of that. I don't want a wave advantage to take place, but if it does, I would love for Rory and Scotty to get wiped out. Because I'm scared of them.
Yeah, especially after what happened last week. Then again, I remember thinking last year Rory was going to win the U.S. Open after winning Canada, and then I forgot guys who win the Canadian Open don't win the U.S. Open.
Yep, and that's right. I tweeted this earlier in the week. I think it's been 9 times Rory has been entering a major coming off a win the week before. And all of those times he's been either the favorite or the second favorite in the betting market, and he's yet to win. The best one was last year, 5th at Brookline.
Are you thinking back to Wells Fargo 2021 and then head into the PGA when he won a Kiwa a couple years ago?
Yeah, it was 7-1, I think, that week.
By the way, I can't believe this. Roy's 8-1 now. I thought he would have been like plus 650.
I know. I mean, hey, if there's anything we've said this before a million times, but if there's something a major he's going to win, shouldn't it be this?
It would be the greatest golf. It would be the greatest walk in golf for Roy if he won again.
It certainly would. But if that happens, there will not be a picture next to my Cam Smith picture behind me here. If Victor does, there will be one.
I'll tell you what. Victor Hovland wins. There's gonna be some picture on the wall here.
Yeah, absolutely, there is.
Well, Matt, thanks for joining us on major number 4 this year, and hopefully, we're gonna end the year with another major one and done win.
Let's do it. Thanks for having me.